Hey everyone! Before we get started with our episode, I just wanted to let you know that we're running a special giveaway this week. We're giving away a signed photo of our guest, Rebecka Blomqvist. If you would like to participate, head over to our Instagram at Under the Sportlight Pod. That's at Under the Sportlight POD, and check out the giveaway post. Cheers! Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Under the Sportlight. This is the podcast that explores the people who live and breathe professional sport. I'm your host Phil, and today we're joined by Rebecka Blomqvist. She's a Swedish international footballer whose career has taken her from winning titles in Sweden to competing at the very top of European football in Germany. She's gone from major tournament podiums to overcoming serious injury, and her journey is a masterclass of resilience, growth, and belief. Rebecka, welcome.
Thank you very much. A very nice introduction.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. But, before we get started, I'd love to know a little bit more about your childhood. So where did you grow up, and what was everyday life like for you as a little kid?
Oh, yeah. I was born in a city called Uddevalla, or at a hospital nearby. But I grew up in Uddevalla. It's a small town in Sweden, about an hour from Gothenburg. Had a fantastic childhood. Have an older brother. Played a lot with him as a kid. Stayed with our parents until until school was finished. And that time, I would say a normal day going to school when I was younger, and then went on a bike trip with friends, went to practice. And then as I got older, I also had horses. So then I directly went from school to the stable. I fixed everything for the horses, went back home, had to eat, went to practice. Of course, I had to do the, what's the word for what you get from school?
Homework?
Homework.
Yeah.
Had to do the homeworks at some point, and then it started over again the next day.
Okay, wow. So I hear then you're doing football already and horses at the same time. So tell me about how you got started with horses and how that was.
Yeah, the interest came from my mom. She had horses when she was a little bit younger. She stopped when me and my brother was born because it's a lot of time with horses, and you have to do it. I mean, they can't really get along on their own. And she noticed that I had an interest. They took me and my brother to this like small farms where you could see horses, and she realized I had an interest. I also like to jump, so I actually competed in
Oh,
horse
wow.
jumping. Yeah, it was a big interest from my side, and together with my mom, of course, we had a lot of fun doing that. But at some point, I was 14 when I stopped. That's where it kind of got more with the football, of course. With national team was getting closer, I started playing with the women's team, and then it was hard to combine it. But I think I made the right decision.
Yes, yes, you sure have. Did you have a football family growing up? Did you watch football? Was there a lot of football in your house or not really?
Yeah, I would say in general, a lot of sport, more handball than football, actually. My dad, my brother, more in the handball direction. But my grandfather, for example, he was all into football, but then he also changed to handball. But in the city I grew up in, many friends, almost everybody tried out football at one time. I tried handball too, and I liked it, but it wasn't possible to do all three things. So I had to choose at least two of them. But I would say a lot of sport, handball a lot, and of course football then also. Yeah.
So how did you get started with football then? Was it just because people at school played it, so you wanted to play it as well?
I started very early. The first time I was standing on an official football pitch was when my brother's team was playing, and I was watching, and they lost a player, so they said we need one more, and my parents said, "Yeah, you can go in." And then I stood there on the middle line, and I did not want to play, of course, also with the guys. I was not feeling very comfortable. And then, so that was my first contact with real football. But then I kept playing in the garden with my brother, with friends. And I think, yeah, since then I've never stopped.
So when did you look at it and think, I could actually do this more than just for fun?
Mm, it's a good question. I think I've always seen it as just for fun. Of course, I could tell that I was good, that I had talent. And when I was 14, 15, the national team, those kind of things kind of was talked about. And also, oh, would you play in your hometown? Would you go there? Would you go there? Like that's where it kind of started, like being talked about it. But I don't think I realized even then what that meant. And the first contract I signed with the professional team, I earned 300 euros, and I thought it was like, wow, I get money for this kind of. So I think the first time I realized I could do this as a job was when I got my first contract, where I didn't have to do anything else. And I've been very much present in the time that I wasn't. So I haven't really been dreaming about it, but it came to me, yeah, after some time.
Tell me the story about how it came to you. How did you get that first contract?
Yeah, like I said, of course, everything started a little bit with the national team around 15, 16. I was making a decision for going to high school, if I wanted to stay in my hometown or if I wanted to move an hour away and go to the high school there, because there it was said that the football education was better. But I made the decision to stay, and also to stay in the club that was in my hometown, and we played in the third league for the women, so it was still good. But then I got a call from a first team from the first league in Gothenburg. Then they said, "Oh, do you want to come practice? It could be good for your development." And I thought, yeah, why not? And that was in the winter 2013, 2014. So I trained with them back and forth, had some test games. And in the summer, the coach called me and said, "Hey, a player is leaving. Do you want to come?" And then I was 17. So I still had 2 more years. Yeah, 2 more years in school. Which meant, okay, then I have to travel, either move, change schools, or all what that means. But then we found a solution so I could travel. We train in the afternoon, so I could still be in school. I traveled 1.5 hours with the train every day. And then, so that's how my professional career started.
You did that for what, 2 years, going to school and then to practice?
Yeah, I had to. Of course, I missed one class every day. But talking to the teachers, trying to plan, I think it made me pretty good in planning. Because of course it was also tough for me to travel. I was tired on the train. I had to do my homeworks. I had to study. But the teachers, the school was very supportive. And of course I did what I had to do. So we found a way, and I'm very happy I could stay at home until I was ready to move out too.
And I'm just picturing your first time stepping onto the pitch for practice, for training. Like, did you realize what was going on? Okay, I'm just here to train for fun, or like, this is like serious. How did it feel for that very first training session with Gothenburg?
I remember it so clearly. My dad took me. He could drive me, and I was very happy for that. But I was so nervous. It was winter, and the winter in Sweden is not maybe winter, yeah, in the south of Europe, and it's pretty cold. And I was so nervous. I don't think I didn't know anyone. And I came to the training where we were supposed to train. the coach had called me before and said, no, we're not training at that place. And I was so insecure because I didn't know where the other place was. And then he said, no, you can come to where we normally are, and then I'll take you. And I was like, what about my dad? Like, he's so it was just very nervous. But then we went to another pitch. And I remember the training, it went pretty good. The girls were super. The coach was also very, very, very nice to me. So the nervousness got away pretty fast. But the feeling before, I still, it comes back to me when I think about it.
How long did it take from that very first training session to your very first game that you played at?
It wasn't very long because I think in that preseason the team really had troubles with injuries, and so I think the first training was middle of December, and then the first test game was probably in the middle in February maybe.
So
Yeah.
not too long. So you hop on the pitch, you're practicing now, you're training for the first time, and then all of a sudden now you're going to a game. What were you thinking about that first game?
It's actually a little bit funny because I was still in my thoughts of like, okay, this is just for development. Like, this is not like being tested out. This is not for me showing off, or like, it was only for my development. Like, of course, when I think about it now, it was maybe for the future. Like, it's not like we just did it for fun. But I was still in my head, no, I'm gonna finish school at home. I'm gonna do this and this and this. So I was never seeing it as a test. And I think, of course, the first training I was nervous, and in the games I just thought. And of course, they found a solution there with my home club, because you can't just play with any team. But they had a kind of like a cooperation, which meant that I could play the test games with this professional team and then still be have the contract with my home club. So I think it was around 6 months where I was playing with this professional club in Gothenburg, and I just saw it as development. So it's hard to explain because I think I first realized it when I signed the contract for them. Yeah.
So you were being tested, but you just had no idea you were being tested, basically.
Yeah, you can say it like that. Maybe I was naive, but I think that was also very good for me because then I could be a bit more free.
Mm. And was there anyone there with Gothenburg that sort of helped you out a lot in those first early days, or how did you find starting out and looking up to other people in the club?
Oh yeah, I can mention many names. I don't want to mention too many because I'm afraid that I will forget one. But one that I really want to mention is it's actually a little bit funny or interesting or so that she's working at the agent company that I belong to right now. So we're still in touch. I was 17 when I came. I didn't have a driver license. I didn't have an apartment in the city, and she took so good care of me, and she just made me feel safe. Her name is Lisa Ek. She had a career of her own, also struggled with injuries, but was like really a mental role model for me, and she took good care of me, made sure I had food, and my parents are forever grateful what she did for me on and off the pitch. So she's the name I really want to mention.
And you were mentioning your parents and how grateful they were to Lisa as well. How did they support you in that time, then going to Gothenburg and then moving on after that to pro playing in Germany?
Yeah, my parents and my brother, they've been amazing in every way. I've never felt any pressure. I've only felt support. And I'm very happy how they also, I don't know how they made it to make me feel like I had their support and still maybe led me in the direction that they knew would be good for me. but still I made the decision, and I'm so happy for their support still. I call them after every game just to like, doesn't matter what it is, if we won, if we lost, if I played, if I didn't play, if I scored, if I played bad. It's just, it means a lot to me. And they were the decision that I chose to stay in my hometown, the decision that I chose to move, and then to Germany, of course, for parents, it's not easy, but they never ever gave me the feeling that they weren't happy for me, or a complete opposite. They were just, yeah, they've been on the journey and they still are very, very present, and I'm very grateful for them too.
So you're playing at that point with Gothenburg, and did you move from Gothenburg? Is that when you got signed to Wolfsburg?
Yeah, so I lived in Gothenburg for 4 years. Yeah, for 4 years. Yeah.
When did moving abroad to Germany first feel like a real possibility?
Yeah, I think like I said, I was very much in the present when I played. Of course, the thoughts came, oh, it would be cool to play in another country. What kind of, at that point, Germany was also, together with France, I would say, the biggest leagues. And England came a little bit, but it wasn't really like so big as it is right now. And I wasn't sure, like, okay, because I was in one of the best teams in Sweden. So in Sweden, it didn't make sense for me to change clubs. And one day when I was lying on the couch, I got a call from another person who was not connected to me, but he was connected to Wolfsburg. And he just said, hey, I want to know who's your agent, because there is a club that's very interested. And I didn't know. Like, I thought, okay, maybe, like not Wolfsburg. I mean, I didn't think it was Wolfsburg. and then I talked to my agent, and then because this guy didn't want to say which club it was, because it's, of course, those things are a little bit sensitive. And I was thinking, like, oh, interesting. Like, where could I move? And then my agent called me the day after, and then she had been talking to him, and she says, oh yeah, it's Wolfsburg. And I was like, what? That was very crazy. So I think that's where I first started to think, okay, I could really go abroad, and I could go to a good team. Yeah.
And then you signed with Wolfsburg, and you moved to. Did you speak German back then already at that point?
Nothing. I didn't even know how to say hello.
Did you speak English at that point
Yeah.
already? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
at least you could communicate, I guess, because I suspect people in Germany don't speak Swedish.
No. I had a teammate that spoke Swedish. Fridolina Rolfö was there at the time, which was very, very, very nice. Because in general, I would say in football it's okay, but in general, the Germans are not maybe the best in English either.
I see. So you had a friend at least to help you get acquainted with the country. So what were your first impressions then? You get off the plane or the train in Germany, and you step out, and then what?
Yeah, it was also, this was directly or kind of in the middle of COVID. So I wasn't able to visit Wolfsburg before. Sometimes, or normally, I would say, players go to, if you maybe choose between different clubs, or if you want to get a feeling for the club, a visit is always good to make. But I wasn't able to, and I was in the middle of the season with Gothenburg, and then it was national team. So directly after national team, I traveled with Frido then. From the national team, we flew to Berlin. We had to go like 2.5 hours with the train. One train was canceled. It happens often in Germany, unfortunately. And we come to Wolfsburg, and I step out on the central station, and I'm thinking, I see, the car... fabric, is that a word?
Oh, the factory.
The factory, yes. Exactly. Yeah, so the factory is stationed in Wolfsburg, and that's kind of like, and that was the first thing I saw, and I thought, okay, this is industrial, kind of. The city is also not big, and we drive, and I see like German on the signs, and I'm thinking, wow, this is like my new home. And I have to be honest, in my head, I was like, okay, I signed a 2-year contract, 2.5. I signed a 2.5-year contract. I wanted to try something, and then I go back to Sweden. But Germany became, yeah, my
That
home,
did,
kind
that
of.
didn't work out.
No, I'm still here.
So then walking into Wolfsburg, how did the style of play then in Germany differ from your the way you played in Sweden?
I think as in every league, teams are different. So, but for sure, the German league and Wolfsburg was more physical, quicker, higher demands. I would say also on the players. If they say run, you run. If they say do this, you do this. It's very. Germany is also probably known for that a little bit, that it's very structured. We had rules, you had to pay if you didn't follow the rules, like those kind of things was, of course. And on the pitch, I remember my first 6 months, I really just tried to get into it. I got to play a lot also because we were struggling with injuries, but I had a lot of confidence from the coach too. And I was just trying to be patient, but it also went pretty well. And I think that my style of play also fits to the German style of play.
And how did you then adapt to the new culture and those those expectations that you just talked about? Did you adapt to them quickly and easily, or how was that for you?
Yeah, I feel like I did. Of course, I had a lot of help from my Swedish friend who could translate in practice also, because of course, if you don't understand the exercise, it's pretty hard to do it. Yeah, and everything was in German. Everything was in German. Every meeting, every training. When the coach talked to me like this, he spoke in English, but other than that, it was just in German. And I think just that makes you a little bit confused. At the same time, that made me even more focused, and I think that helped me to really be there when practice was, and it made me yeah, at the end also more confident in what I did. And I would say the first 6 months went better than I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
During that time, did you have any moments of self-doubt or challenge?
No, I think it was also important for me, and I think that's important in general. I knew Wolfsburg was a big club. I knew I came from Sweden. I performed in Sweden. I did. I developed. I was good. But going to Wolfsburg is the next step, and that was very clear for me. So I went in. Of course, I was hoping to play. I was hoping to get to show my qualities. I was hoping to feel good in the team, also outside of the pitch. But it was clear for me that it might not everything go just up. And so no, I didn't really doubt myself or my football at any point, because I really, without pushing myself down, I said, okay, be realistic. It's Wolfsburg, like, and that helped me.
Yeah. So it's Wolfsburg. How do you establish yourself in a world-class club like that? Coming from abroad, not speaking the language as much, how do you establish yourself as an important player for the team?
Yeah, of course. Thinking back now, I was there for 4.5 years. 4.5 years where I did not really play super much. I never became a starting 11 player, I would say, which of course was challenging. I still felt that because I was joining the national team still, I felt like I really developed as a player. I wasn't able to show it on the pitch as much as I would have wanted to with Wolfsburg, but I felt that they appreciated me. I felt that they knew that I was working hard. I had qualities they knew what they had on me. And I think that's what made me establish and be a player that was still very appreciated. And in that sense, when I was needed, I was there, and they did need me. yeah, sometimes it's maybe too less, but it came moments where I was really needed in that way. And for me, it was just to find the balance between, okay, what do I have to accept? I have to be realistic. I have to perform every training. I have to work hard. I have to, even if I'm not playing, every day after a game, practice, every chance I get, I have to perform. And that's how everybody's different, but that's how I took this challenge. And I think that's also what the coach saw and what made me establish in the way that I established. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you've mentioned you didn't play as much as you would have hoped. Obviously, some of that was because of injury, right? So tell me about that ACL injury that you had.
Yeah, it was I had signed a new contract with Wolfsburg in the summer. I had a good World Cup with Sweden. We took a medal, came back, had a good training camp, and in the first game of the season, a cup game, after 25 minutes, a normal situation. I would say I've done it 1,000 times, but the balance in the body was not really there. And yeah, in 1 second, you're kind of out for a year. So that was, yeah.
Did you know what had happened when it happened?
I want to say yes. I could feel something in the knee. Not everybody likes to hear this, but because but normally you hear kind of like a click when it happens. What I felt was more like a pull, like not. It wasn't like click. It was more like a kind of. Which made me hope a little bit. But then I know I said directly to the girls, I was like, it's not good. And then the doc came in and I was like, Doc, it's not good.
Oh.
And then he did this test that you normally do. And I could feel my leg was like moving. So I knew. And the day after I got the results from the MRI. So it didn't take long until I had the answers. And I think I knew in that moment too that okay, you have a rehab in front of you.
So the doctor tells you, okay, you just tore your ACL. How did you react to that? And what was then the recovery like for you after that?
Yeah, I did the MRI in the morning, and then the doctor called around lunch and just gave me the news. He said, of course, also with knee injuries, you kind of have to see if there are more injuries, like if you have the MCL, if you have
Meniscus.
Meniscus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about these terms in English.
That's okay.
Those kind of things.
You can say them you can say them in German, and I can try my best to understand.
Okay. What about Knorpel?
That sounds like food to me.
It could be. I think it's like kind of the bone. It's where the bones hit each other. Like, yeah.
The joint.
Those kind. The joint, maybe, probably. Can you injure your joint?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah. But that's what you have to. I mean, what the doctor said was like, okay, most important, your ACL is, it's gone, kind of. And then he gave me some more informations, but what I knew was, okay, ACL, that's around 9 to 12 months. And the first days, my parents came 2 days after, which was good for me. The story was also, so I said to Wolfsburg, I'm leaving, or we decided I'm leaving. Then things change, so I stayed anyways. But I had already gave my apartment to a new player, which meant I was without home. So I was in the middle of a move, and in this new, it was like a smaller house. What do you say when houses are next to each other?
Townhouse. The townhouse?
Townhouse?
Yeah, when it's like one right next to each other and they're touching each other. Yes, a townhouse.
They're touching it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And in this house, there were stairs, of course. And I was on crutches and I had a thing and I had so many boxes just standing in my kitchen and everything. Those first 2 days was was hard. They were. But after those days, my parents came, we fixed it. I landed in all the emotions. And I I never at one point felt sorry for myself. I mean, of course, I was sad, but unfortunately, it happens to too many. And I wasn't the first one. Unfortunately, I wasn't the last one. And I just felt okay for everybody who ever did this rehab. I'm gonna do my best too, and I was confident that I will be back on the pitch at one point. We'll see how long it takes.
Yeah. And then after, how long was it? 9, 10, 11 months?
It was 361 days, so
Wow.
almost exactly a year. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Not that you were counting or anything, eh?
No, no,
360.
no, no, no. No, I actually got, it was very nice. I got from a teammate a calendar where I could cross every day in the rehab. So that was very nice. I had it on my door in my sleeping room, and I crossed every day. So that made me very motivated.
So 361 days later, you step onto the pitch. What is going in your mind and in your emotions at that time?
Oh, it was very emotional. We had a cup game against a team in the second or third league. I'm not sure. And I was in the squad. We had made a plan before, so if everything goes good, goes well, this game could be your comeback. And I was like, okay, but then we kind of also have to, he doesn't put me in if we maybe have to score in the end, or if we, so please, girls, make sure you score so I can get my 10, 15 minutes. And as it is, when there's a game, you make yourself warm behind the goal. And then the athletic coach says your name, and then you're allowed to run to the bench. And it's always like exciting or also nervous to be on the side. Also, when you're not doing your comeback, you're waiting for the athletic coach to say your name so you can get to play and everything. And we were in front, I think 4-0, and it was around 15 minutes left. And I was
Perfect.
just thinking, I was like, Tommy, if you don't sub me in now, I don't know if I ever talk to you again. And then the athletic coach said my name, and then I just ran. I think I ran so fast to the bench. I never ran that fast. I just wanted to come in, and it was a very nice and proud moment also.
Mm. Well, that's amazing. And then you're playing the game and everything feels right again. Wow. Well, let's talk about something good. Well, the comeback was good, but the ACL tear and going through that, not so much. But I wanted to shift a little bit into national team. Okay. You were even mentioning that you had just come back from the World Cup, right? When you got injured. So tell me about playing with the national team. What was your first call up like? And how did it feel playing for the Swedish national team?
Yeah, I was a part of the youth national teams.
Mm.
In the beginning, when I was 15, I was a little bit back and forth. I was often a backup, and then someone got injured, so I was called back in. And then I did my first. Then it was with the under 23s, and after the World Cup 2019, I wasn't sure if I was a backup. Like, they didn't really give you a sign that you're a backup or not. But that was the first camp after the World Cup where they also had a success and took a bronze medal. And one striker got injured, so he called me and said, "Yeah, do you want to come?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I want to come." And in that camp, I also got to do my debut for the national team. I got 10, 15 minutes against Latvia. Then I was again a backup, and then I was out, and so it was a little bit back and forth. But I've always been the Olympics 2021 was my first tournament with the national team, and since then I've been privileged enough to join the Euros and then the World Cup and then the Euros again. So I'm very, very happy for my national team travel so far.
How does it feel to score a goal for the national team?
Oh, it's first of all the national anthem before the game. Every time I stand there and I'm thinking, oh, I'm so thankful, and it's very powerful. And scoring, of course, it's amazing. It's one of the best feelings, and you're kind of doing it for your country. So it's I'm very happy when I score, and just to play for the national team, to put the jersey on is amazing.
Yeah. Does it feel different playing for the national team than playing for your club?
Good question. Yeah, I would say it's different. Like, it's nothing that's better or worse, but of course in the club you play much more games. With the national team it gets a little bit more intense. You're on camp, you stay 10 days together, you play 2 games. It's all very intensive. With the club you have 3 games a week, and you have your home kind of. But I think I'm always when I put a jersey on, I feel like, okay, I'm playing for this club, I'm playing for this country. Seeing the fans here in Frankfurt is also amazing, like how they make the vibe and everything in the stadium. And I'm trying to always, of course, to focus on the game, but also to really remind myself every time before or after the game that I am allowed to play for these people. I'm allowed to give them joy if I score a goal, and sometimes also disappoint them. Unfortunately, that's also a part of the game, but I had the possibility to make these people happy, and I think that's it's a very cool feeling, I have to say.
Yeah. How do you balance then the pressure of playing, and like all of these people are hoping that you do really well, with just enjoying yourself in the moment when you're out there playing?
hmm Yeah, that's of course, like you say. I feel like I found the balance. I'm not sure how, um, but I feel I try to feel, like I said, also to be realistic and say, okay, sometimes it's also disappointment. I will always do my best. We will always do our best as a team. Um, but people around us also understand that it won't always go straight up. And I think being realistic, a little bit of pressure should be there, a little bit of nervous feelings should also be there, but also to be okay with hard times. I mean, in life, it's also like that. It goes up and down. And I think as every individual, if it's a fan, if it's family members, if it's me on the pitch, you also have to understand that there's, ups and downs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were also mentioning the Olympics. Um, you got silver at the Olympics, was it? Okay, so that's probably good feelings and bad feelings at the same time, losing the final. So, um, first, what's your standout memory from the Olympics? And then, how did it feel to win a silver medal?
Yeah, the Olympics is, of course, also known for all the sports being at the same place. We were also lucky to be in the Olympic Village. What was different our year was that COVID was still like a theme, kind of, which meant we have to wear the masks, we had to take a test every morning, and no audience in the games. We were in Tokyo, so we were still across the world. So the event was maybe not the same as the Olympics would be if there wasn't COVID. But still, like I said, we were lucky enough to be in the Olympic Village. We saw how it was. It's like a different world. So of course, that's a big memory I have. Getting through to the final, winning against the US in the group stage, 3-0 the first game. That was very crazy. And then, of course, in the final, we had a penalty shootout. That's the worst way to lose, I would say, being so close to a gold medal. But afterwards, I look at this medal and I'm very, very proud that I was a part of it, and how we did that tournament.
Yeah, it's crazy because something like you said, you look at the medal and you're really proud of it, and really a silver medal is amazing, but losing the final in shootouts, I'm sure is devastating. I'm sure there was a lot of crying in the locker rooms after, and people just really upset.
Oh yeah, it was very very emotional. I was not in the squad. I was in the stands. I played one of the games in the Olympics, so I got also like another perspective, I would say. Of course, being there, maybe also a little taking the role a little bit more as support because I was not in on the pitch, but still a part of the team. So I think that was also important for me in that moment to try to be there for the girls. Also, when I was, of course, disappointed, but that's why I can also maybe a little bit quicker could look with pride of this medal. Yeah.
Let's go back to now you going from Wolfsburg to Frankfurt. Okay, so how did that happen?
Mhm. My contract was running out in the summer with Wolfsburg, and I felt like I needed something new. I wanted a new challenge. Of course, England is very much a topic right now, and it was also in my head. I was very open from the beginning. I thought, okay, let's just see what might come. What I feel when you start talking to clubs, of course, you get more of an impression. Wolfsburg was still in the race. It was also a change of coach, which meant, okay, something new. And the coach that actually took me to Wolfsburg 4.5 years ago, he came back, which also made it, okay, that would be something new in Wolfsburg. What does that mean? I know I feel good here. All those things kind of, it was a process over 4 or 5 months, I would say. And in the end, I just had the feeling I want to stay in Germany. And Frankfurt, the way they play, I played against them for 5 years. I've always known their qualities, kind of. And I had a feeling that the style of playing could really fit to me. It's a new city, a bigger city, something new in that way. But still, I have the feeling of feeling safe, and also, and I think I'm that kind of person. And talked to the coach, went to visit, everything felt good. So I'm yeah. In the end, Frankfurt was the alternative that felt the best, and I'm very very happy to be here.
Yeah, you were just talking about coaches and how the one coach came back and maybe you would have stayed or maybe you leave and now you talk to the new coach and that gave you the confidence to make the move in some respects. How is it for you having different coaches and how have different coaches influenced the way you play?
I think I'm also one of the play without having any facts. I think I'm a player who didn't have that many coaches during my career, actually. I had in Gothenburg, of course, I had the first coach who took me to a professional team. Of course, also the coaches you had when you were younger, who all kind of influenced you. I had one coach that I had in the district team, we called it, like the part where it's only your district, kind of, before you go to national team. I had him there, I had him in my club, and I had him in school later. He's, of course, been very 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 present in my career, and as a person, and the way of seeing me as a player. He always encouraged me. And then going to Wolfsburg, of course, I had the same coach the first 6 months, and then I had the same for 4 years. So I would say everybody, all the coaches are different. All the coaches have their style of playing, their style of communicating, their style of leadership. And I think it's very interesting. And I think I just collect everything that I've seen and heard and lived through the last, I don't know, my 10, 15 years as a professional football player. I just take everything in and try to see every puzzle piece as a part of my journey, kind of. Um, and then maybe at one point I made a decision because I felt safe. I felt like I could develop. Now I made a decision because I felt like, okay, I need something new. What can this coach give to me? How is he in his? Also, to say, do not ever make your decision only because of a coach. I would say, I think that's important. Um, yeah, it's a hard question. I don't think I gave you a good answer on that one, but
No, that's okay. Yeah, you have to adapt to different perspectives, different ways the coaches want to play the game, right? The game is the same, but it can be played so many different ways. So being adaptable, I'm sure, is very important.
for sure. And then also, of course, there are coaches and players that fit better together in the way of seeing you on the pitch, in the way of using you, because even if a player puts me on the pitch and I don't do what he wants me to do, um, of course, that doesn't really work. So it has to be some kind of cooperation between the player and the coach, also when the player has her own qualities. Um, but yeah, adaptable, but still not lose your qualities. And that's a cooperation, I would say. And that's how a good coach also figures out how to deal with different players. It's not easy as a coach.
No, they have a lot of players to figure that out with. I'm sure it's really not easy for the coaches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how are you enjoying your time in Frankfurt so far with your teammates, out in the city?
I'm enjoying my life here a lot. We have a great team. I feel very, very comfortable in the city. It's a bigger city than I'm used to, which means I would say I stick to my to the training pitch. I have some cafes close by where I might get some food. I have my supermarket. But I really enjoy my time here with the girls in the club. I have my boyfriend not far away from here, which of course also makes life here feels like home. And I'm really, really, really enjoying my life.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your personal life outside of football then. What do you do when you're not practicing, you're not training, you're not playing? What is Rebecka like when she's not on the pitch?
I like to spend time with friends. I like to be at home. I like to spend time with my boyfriend. Of course, we're both a lot. We're both traveling a lot, so of course, when we have time together, I really enjoy just being there. I love spending time on the couch watching a TV show. I also during the years been studying a little bit on the side. I feel like that's good for me, for my brain to do something else too. Trying to build something there. We'll see what it ends up being. But I like to activate myself in different ways. But I'm also not a stranger to just have 5 hours on the couch.
So you talked about, watching TV shows. This is just a curiosity question. When you're watching TV, are you watching it in German, Swedish, or English?
Oh, this is a good question, actually. I try to watch because I also got some comments from home that my Swedish is
Oh,
maybe getting a.
rusty.
It's not. Yeah. Of course, I talk a lot to friends and family also from home, but in my daily life, I speak almost only German and English. Then sometimes at the practice, we have another Swedish girl in the team, which is also good. But when I watch Swedish TV shows, I try to watch them now and then. Of course, there are some that I follow more. If I watch, I would never. Sorry to the Germans, but the Germans watch English movies in German, and sometimes I'm thinking if I'm with friends or something like that, and I want to watch, like, it's not the voice from this person. That's for me. That's strange for me. So then I for sure watch in English. In the beginning, when I was learning German, I also did with the German subtitles. So if I watched the Swedish film, I watched it with German subtitles, sometimes with German speech and Swedish subtitles, and I've been mixed it around a little bit, but basically, like, I always use the sound that's belonging to the movie
To
or
the
the
show. Okay.
series. Yeah, to the
Got it.
show.
So if the
Yeah.
show is in English, watch it in English. If it's in Swedish, and Swedish, and so on and so forth. Do you speak any other languages, or those
No,
three? Okay.
only Swedish, English, and
Well,
German.
it's
Yeah.
not only, it's three languages. It's
Yeah,
a lot
no,
of
but
languages, but yes.
yeah.
Nice. So now, looking back at your career and where you've gone to, do you still have any goals left to achieve in your career in the future?
I do. I've always been the type, like, I've never said, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. I've always tried to develop myself. I try to make good decisions. I try to make decisions based on the career, but also the human behind the career, which also automatically makes me feel like I'm doing everything to perform. I can't give you like, oh, I want to score 30 goals in a season. I want to like I don't really have those kind of things. I want to stay on the national team. I will do everything to keep being on the national team. That means, of course, performing in Frankfurt. And I want to build something with this team. I That's like one of my challenges, one of my dreams right now that I want to. And Frankfurt is also a team that wants to build. So I think that's where my focus is right now, to get a bigger role in a team that's really that really wants to achieve something.
Mm. And do you ever think about life after football? Like, oh, I'm gonna follow in Lisa's footsteps and become an agent, or I'm going to become a coach, or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, I'm 28 now. I hopefully have
Many
many,
years.
I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's say many years left on the football pitch. But of course, I think about what I want to do after. Yeah, following Lisa's footstep is maybe not super far away from what I'm imagining. It's hard for me to see a life completely without football. Even if I'm thinking that I do like other things than football. I've always thought that I could be a teacher. I worked in a school when I was a little bit younger. Those kind of things. But I think it will for sure have something to do with football. I think I've kind of come to that conclusion. Yeah.
If you could now give an advice to someone that is just starting out, little girl somewhere in Sweden is looking at a football and saying, how can I become a footballer? What would you tell them?
Of course, it's always easiest to connect it to your own path, kind of. Have fun as long as possible. Do not think too much about the future, but still work hard every time you have the possibility to work hard. And also, my perspective is to really see the person behind it too. I think that will take you very far, to think about what you feel as a person and not only as a football player when it comes to making decisions in the future.
Awesome. Now, Rebecka, we're almost done, but
The questions.
yeah, so before I let you go, I wanted to, we have this segment here that's called fan questions. Okay. So we've had some people that follow you send in questions for you to answer. So here they are. This is fan questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here are your fan questions. Fan questions. Fan questions.
So Elizabeth has asked, if you were not a footballer, what would you be working with?
I do actually think I would be a teacher.
What would you teach?
Maybe sport. Yeah, maybe sport, maybe Swedish. I don't know if I'm good enough, but English would also be fun. More in the language sport direction than, yeah.
Nice. Well, you're definitely good enough in English. You could teach English for sure.
Thank you. It's good to know.
Yeah, you're welcome. So JL is asking who your best friend is at Frankfurt.
Oh. Oh. That's actually a tough one. Because I would say I have some that I hang out with and I don't want to like separate them. You know,
Okay,
saying
so
one
tell
of
me
them.
all of your best friends in Frankfurt.
Okay, I would say now I don't want to forget anyone. I would say Pia, Amanda, Jane, and now Sarah Dawson came back and we knew each other already in Wolfsburg, so Sarah can also join that. I hope I didn't forget anyone now. I don't think so.
Okay. Leonie wants to know, how are you enjoying life in Frankfurt?
I'm enjoying it a lot. Like I said before, having friends, family also here, having the possibility to go into the big city and like the Christmas markets were crazy here. So nice. So I'm really enjoying it.
Ella is asking if you still have contact with Jewel Brond.
Oh, yeah, we actually called each other yesterday. Funny, we still have contact, and she's a friend of mine. So we try to keep in touch as much as you can when you're so far away from each other.
Carl is asking about your favorite spots or areas in Frankfurt to go to.
My apartment. No, oh, now I have to think. I do like to just go for a walk along the Main. It's very nice alongside the water. Sitting at a restaurant that is like located there. I've been to a couple of restaurants. There's one close to the water called Mein Nizza, and it's very nice. I've taken my family and my friends there when they've been visiting, so I know exactly where to park. I know where we can go, and then I feel safe. And of course, being in the middle of the city when you want to feel like some city pulse, it's Maitzeil, like the big mall and everything. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite spots. Yeah.
Okay. Darth Azteca. They want to know, what kind of boots do you recommend for more accuracy shooting on target?
Oh, I would say the ones I have, Adidas, the Adidas F50. They're good.
And this last question is by Johan Stenstrom. And I'm telling you his last name because, you will see in the question. He's asking, Thomas Stenstrom or Mikael Appelgren?
So I know this guy.
I figured.
Yeah. And these two guys are, one is an artist from my hometown and one is a handball player from my hometown. And he probably just want to make it hard for me now to choose between them. Now I'll give them both a shout out. Mikael is a very good handball player and Thomas is a very good singer. So I don't want to choose between them.
There you go. Well, Rebecca, before I let you go, the last thing I wanted to do is we have this segment here on the show. It's called Quick Fire. Okay. So I'm going to give you a choice between two options and you have to pick one. Okay.
Yeah.
Ready? All right. So here's Quick Fire.
It's quick fire time! Aye!
Black boots or bright colorway?
Bright color.
Tactical discipline or creative freedom on the pitch?
Yeah. I think I'm very tactical, disciplined. So I kind of have to say that, even if I like to be creative too.
Long shots or close range finishes?
Close range finishes.
Fast counterattack or possession play?
fast counterattack.
Morning person or night owl?
I was a night owl, but I think I'm getting more in the morning person direction right now. Morning person, yeah.
Champions League or World Cup?
Mm. I don't know. I mean, they're both. It's impossible. I do say World Cup. Yeah.
Okay. Pre-match playlist or focused silence?
Yeah, I always listen to music, but it's not like a pre-match normal playlist, I would say. But yeah, music.
Pizza or pasta?
Pasta.
City life or countryside small town?
Countryside small town.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Taking the first or the last penalty in a shootout?
The first.
Okay, why is that?
I think the possibility to make pressure and also to stand there and wait is not super nice.
Nice. So you get it over with.
Yeah, you can express it like that. It sounds a little bit negative, so but I wanted to rephrase it.
Yes,
but
I understand.
yeah, a little bit to get over with it. Yeah.
Sort of, you don't have to wait too long until your turn. You just do it, and then you're done.
And hopefully you score, and then you put pressure, and then
you get to enjoy the
fun.
rest of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Rebecka, that's all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for being here and your willingness to come on the show. Tell us about your story. Why don't you let people know your social accounts if they want to go and follow you?
Yeah, I would say where I'm most active or active at all is Instagram, and that's Rebecka Blomqvist with 2 A's for Rebecca.
Well, thank you again, Rebecka, and to everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time on Under the Sportlight.